Hello and welcome to Gaming History 101. My name is Sasha and I'll be your host today. Some people refer to the Nintendo Famicom as the original Nintendo system. And while that is true to a certain extent, it's not exactly correct factually. You see, starting in 1977, Pong consoles began to take over the gaming market just because of how addictive and how widespread that they were. You see, starting in 1977, Nintendo released several Pong clone consoles that were meant to compete, at least in Japan, with the Pong consoles that were released over there. And this was their very first jump into the gaming market, at least at the home level anyway. So without any further ado, let's take a look at the history of the Color TV game series. Let's go. To look at the history of these consoles, we need to look at the origin of the concept of Pong. I already covered all of this back in episode 11, so feel free to watch that if you already haven't. But to sum it up, back in 1972, an engineer at Atari, Alan Alcorn, developed this game as a training exercise so he could teach himself how to code. Soon after release, Nolan Bushnell, the CEO of Atari, pushed his employees to work on new projects, and under this new push, Harold Lee, an Atari engineer, brought the idea of bringing Pong to homes. Lee and Alcorn kept pushing this idea, and around 1975, the first Pong consoles were released. I couldn't find exact facts on what happened regarding the Color TV game line, but as far as I understand, Nintendo caught wind of these and they wanted to get in on some of the action. Nintendo struck up a partnership with Mitsubishi, of all things. Yeah, like the car manufacturer. I think it's Mitsubishi. Is it Mitsubishi? Slap me if it's not. The deal went like this. Mitsubishi would give Nintendo the hardware, while Nintendo would design the hardware as well as the console and the games. It was a very good artistic for physical labor deal, and I guess it worked out for the both of them. The series launched in Japan on June 1st, 1977 with the Color TV Game 6 system. It contained 6 variations of Pong, here it was called light tennis. These included tennis, no-brainer, hockey, and volleyball. Add both a singles and a doubles mode of both of these games and you get 6. Quite the sneaks, Nintendo. You could almost say they were being pesky plumbers.
Dear pesky plumbers.
Sorry, I'll see myself out. The Color TV Game 6 only came in 2 colors, orange and porcelain white. The differences between the two were fairly slight. The orange one would only run off wall power, whereas the white one could run off wall power and C batteries. Unfortunately, to compromise, the white version was kinda rare, as they only had a production run of a couple hundred units. On June 8th, 1977, just 1 week after the release of the original, Nintendo released the Color TV Game 15. This made several improvements over the Color TV Game 6. Most notably the controllers, while still being hardwired to the system, they were able to be taken off of the actual system, like the Famicom's I almost said Joy-Cons. They were able to be detached from the system, kind of like the controllers on the Famicom, where they were hardwired, but you could take them off and, drag them 2 feet to your couch, or the floor in front of the CRT. This made multiplayer games, and just gaming in general, a lot more pleasant and easy. The TV Game 15, as the name would suggest, also had 15 games, as opposed to 6 in the Color TV Game 6. It had 2 variations of hockey, volleyball, and tennis. It also had 2 ping-pong style games, as, Pong would imply. Each game was able to be played in singles mode or doubles mode. The final game was Penalty Shootout, a game where you had to shoot a ball past a constantly moving target. It came in 2 colors, light and dark, with the lighter ones being a little bit more rare. Exactly 1 year later, on June 8th, 1976, Nintendo released the Color TV Game Racing 112. Or is it 112? Stupid logistics. This was a bird's eye view racing game that has one hell of a name. I mean, try saying that 3 times fast. Color TV Game Racing Color TV Game Racing Game 112. Color TV Game Racing Game 112. Color TV Game Racing. I can't do it. To play the game, one would have to hold the actual controller on the system, which was not detachable, and it was a steering wheel with a gear shift on the front. However, if you wanted to play the games with 3 people, you could also attach 2 more controllers to the back, bringing, I guess, the first Pong console with detachable controllers? If I'm wrong, let me know. The gameplay features a car on a track trying to avoid other cars while driving. Oh, fun fact! This was Shigeru Miyamoto's very first Nintendo project. At this time, he was still a junior employee, so this was before Donkey Kong came on the scene. The 4th installment of the Color TV Game series was the Color TV Game Block Breaker, which was released on April 23rd, 1979. This game was essentially Atari's breakout in a home console format. Similar to the Color TV Game 6, the game was controlled using a dial located on the top of the unit, with various buttons and sliders performing different tasks. One slider was a choice of 6 different board layouts where you had to complete. One was a slider to choose the amount of balls you were playing with, all dirty jokes aside. One was a power slider, and the other one was a huge button on the left side. Please comment down below if you know what it says. Google Translate says boopaton whenever I put the text into it, so the hell is a boopaton? The fifth console in the series is the computer TV game. It's a computer, not just color. This console, released in 1980, was sold in very limited quantities. The only game playable on this system is a port of Nintendo's game Computer Othello that was released in arcades. This game could be played head-to-head against a person or the computer, which, to be fair, was ridiculously advanced at that time, especially for a home console. For the internals, Nintendo managed to convert the actual arcade boards that they used into the actual system, so it was basically just a system with an arcade board, slightly modified obviously to make it not an arcade board, but rather an actual computer PCB. And to top that off, just a power supply was £4, making it even more unbearable. And to top that off, it cost 48,000 yen, or just about $200 at that point. The computer TV game would end up being the last system released in Nintendo's line of color TV game consoles. Despite the systems themselves being nothing really special or of note, they still sold relatively well, especially compared to the other systems that were on the market at that time. Both the Color TV games 6 and 15 did relatively well, selling 1 million units each. Blockbreaker and Racing 112 didn't do as well, only selling about 500,000 each, but still that's relatively understandable and a good achievement for, you know, your third and fourth systems, or technically your first, I don't know. So why exactly do we talk about these consoles specifically today? Nobody really talks about them. You don't really hear about them nearly as much as you hear about the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Super Famicom and the, you know, all of the first actual successful systems. But when you take a look at the atmosphere surrounding the systems, and at that time, nobody really had a home system as successful as these were, and especially when you compare the sales figures of these to the other Pong consoles that were available in Japan, these had the highest sales just by far. Just strictly factually speaking. But why were they so successful? Probably the Nintendo branding, to be honest. There's really no other explanation just besides the Nintendo branding. So what of the consoles now? Well, TV Game 6 and 15 units aren't really that hard to find if you go on eBay and, you know, do not even 5 minutes of searching. But they are fairly expensive due to imports, probably, and other taxes that, you know, I'm not gonna get into that. As of the time that I wrote this script, and probably even filmed this video, there really haven't been any of the other models available online on eBay, but I'm sure that they'll pop up at some point, and if you're really interested in them, go ahead. They're not that good. They're just, you know, Pong systems. They just play Pong. Some notable references to the Color TV game brand, or the series, I guess. In 2003, WarioWare Inc. Mega Microgames for the Game Boy Advance included a microgame version of Racing 1112 inside of the game. This was part of 9Volt's collection of classic Nintendo games. TV Game 6 also became a unlockable game as part of 9V and 18V's collection in WarioWare Smooth Moves for the Wii. And finally, in 2016, Color TV Game 15 was an assist trophy for one of the characters in Smash 4. And that pretty much wraps it up. I know there wasn't a lot to talk about, but these are still pretty interesting systems, and I just wanted to talk about them. So yeah, if you like this video, click up here in the cards to see the last 2 videos that I uploaded on this channel, as well as my social media links, which will be somewhere here. And don't forget to click that like button if you like this video, but if you didn't, you know what to do. That other button seems to work pretty okay too. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and click that bell notification, because then you'll be notified every single time I upload a brand new video. Don't forget to send this video to your friends, your family, anybody who likes Color TV games, because you never know, if they might find some new content, I might get some new fans, and it's a win-win situation for everyone. But if this is where we part for today, this has been Gaming History 101. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.